Okay, so we have FMC211, and basically we'll be talking about censorship. All right, now in the course of this class, we'll be talking about censorship and why it's so important, and censorship according to what it does in the society, why it's so important, and why it needs to be adhered to. So today we're going to be considering what censorship is like in different countries. All right. So we're going to be using the case study of different countries and how or what censorship is like in these countries. So now, to start with, just a moment. So now, censorship in countries. Now, censorship is a known concept all over the world. Very important. Let's note that a known concept all over the world. Okay, it's a known concept all over the world. Almost all the nations of the world have, at one time or the other, all right, placed an embargo or placed a restriction or might have suppressed an information or a concept at one point or the other. So to start with, all right, all countries, all right, at one point, all right, suppressed, all right, suppressed or removed completely a particular, all right, particular thing. It could be concept, it could be content, okay, it could be philosophy, all right, all depends. Now let's start with Canada, for example. All right. Now censorship in Canada is generally limited to what we call, all right, certain prohibited contents. All right, certain prohibited contents. All right, contents. All right, that might. All right, we have quite a lot of them. All right, I might not be able to mention all on the screen. All right, but just to mention about a few. All right, the general concept of censorship worldwide, that process that involves the suppression or the complete removal of certain content, messages or philosophy or concept that seem to be in violation, all right, that seem to be in violation of the constitution or the law of the country, or content that is not or that does not go down well with the constitution or the law of a particular country. So let's take Canada, for example. Don't forget, we're talking about censorship in countries. So to start with, we have that of Canada. Are we together? So now, like we have it here, there are quite a lot of them, but just to mention about a few, we have censorship in Canada is generally limited to, all right, content, all right, generally limited to certain things, the likes of things that are dehumanizing, all right, things that generally causes harm, all right. All right. Causes harm. Okay. Anything that the government, all right, or the government or the government see as harm, anything that can cause harm, content, messages, anything whatever that can generally cause harm, all right, such are being suppressed according to what we have in our material here. All right. So we have the likes of Cuba, all right. Now, just before we switch to Cuba, now, when we talk about Canada, I say there are very little is formally censored in Canada. all right, very little is formally censored. All right, a lot of restrictions in the sense that anything that will affect the citizens, anything that will affect the state at large will be brought down, all right, will be suppressed or brought down immediately. So we also have Cuba, previously the Communist Party Department of Revolutionary Orientation. All right, Cuba said to be the previously the Communist Party's Department of Revolutionary Orientation, which develops and coordinates propaganda technique, was in charge of Cuba media. All right, the use of internet is limited and regulated in the country. All right, so in case of Cuba, we have internet. All right, okay. In the case of Cuba, we have the use of internet is limited and regulated. And regulated in the country. Okay, so we have that as that. Now let's continue. We also need to understand, all right, we also have places like China. All right, the People's Republic of China monitors the internet with sophisticated filtering. All right, sophisticated filtering techniques known as Golden Shield Protect. Free speech and artistic creation are subject to state control as well. All right, so we have China. They are very intentional and deliberate about how the internet is being used. All right, and they use what we call a sophisticated technique. All right, to filter. All right, the usage of the internet known as Golden Shield Protect. Golden Shield Protect. All right, to monitor internet. Also free and artistic. So free and artistic. Free speech. Beg your pardon. Free speech and artistic creation. All right, are subjected to the government control. So we have subjected or subject to the state control. States government, we're all talking about the same thing basically. So now, like I usually say, everything we put out on this channel is basically for informational and educational purpose. So please note that. All right, I'm not here to instigate violence or throw stone or judge or cast stone at anyone. All right, so please note that. So we also have that as stuff. All right, we have a lot of countries here. Okay, so let's move straight to censorship in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, Section 39 of the Federal Republic of Nigeria Constitution protects freedom of expression in Nigeria. Now, despite the constitutional safeguard, the Nigerian government has maintained influence over the media. All right, don't forget that censorship, all right, what goes around through the media or what goes around in the media, it is the responsibility of every state to control its media. It's part of the responsibility of protecting its citizens. So censorship is more particular, is intended when it comes to media, all right, industry, all right, anything that has to do with the media, then it's related. Censorship is related to anything that has to do with the media. So note that. So now, despite the constitutional safeguard, the Nigerian government maintained influence over the media for much, all right, for much of the country history, with some instances continuing to this day. Now, what we need to note is that between 1979 and 1983, the government of the Second Nigerian Republic delegated censorship to the military, all right, for a brief while. During that period, the military were in charge of censorship and all form of information, all right, suppression of the government. Now, what we need to understand here is that Nigeria has taken ownership completely, all right, just like other countries as well. Nigeria has taken ownership of censorship completely, all right, even though, all right, to some extent, there are certain free speech that might not, just like we have it here, that free speech is still, all right, is still subject to the state it's still subject to the state control. Same thing here in Nigeria. All right, in as much as the constitution encourage free speech, there are still certain speech that you say that government of the state, all right, still will suppress. So like it says here that Nigerian government has maintained, all right, influence, okay, influence over, which Nigerian government has maintained influence. Nigerian government has shown themselves, all right, they've shown themselves so well, they've paraded themselves so well that they have made it known to the public that indeed we are in charge and we are watching everything that goes around in the media. Okay? Over the media. It got to a point that it was even handed to the military. And when it was handed to the military, there are a lot of things you might not be able to say. All right, you might not really consider free as free, because free can land you into trouble. But that's not what we are trying to say. Like I said earlier, we don't create violence here. It's just educational content and information. So we have it to say it's between 1979 and 1803. The government of the Second Nigerian Republic delegated censorship to the military. Second Republic. All right, Second Nigerian Republic. All right, delegated censorship to the military. All right, delegated censorship to the military for a brief while. So we have that as that to tell you how important this is actually. Now, there's also something called the press censorship. The Nigerian press was privately owned, all right, within 1859 to 1960. However, because the majority of newspaper owners were politically active, all right, these journals were frequently used to promote their political interests. All right. That is, those periodicals, newspapers, were also subject to censorship as a measure for peace within the region. All right. So speaking of the press censorship now, in that aspect, like we are being told that within 1859 to 1960, 1859 to 1960, okay, the press was privately owned. All right, the majority of the newspaper owners, and they were all politicians, and they use their newspaper. Don't forget that press, they pass a lot of message to a large amount of people. So these these politicians use this press to their own benefit, all right, use it to the benefit of their political ambition. So we got to a point whereby the government has to look into this in order to keep peace and stability. And it's not everything that, even though you are the owner of your newspaper agency or whatever, there are certain things you can say that can be published that will not get out there. So that's what we have been told here. Okay. So we have that as that. So we also have the military censorship. Now, due to allegations of vote manipulation and electoral malpractice, the Second Republic power was changed in 1983. As a result, the newly elected administration opted to delegated censorship for the military. Military censorship was still in effect in 2013 for information about military strategy and confidential materials for security. Now, we have been told you that censorship in military also is real, all right? And the issue of in the issue of Nigeria, there happens to be a time whereby power, all right, was taken from the civilian government, all right, and it was given to, all right, power was taken by the military from the civilian government, and during this time, information that circulates about the military was also subjected, all right, information and confidentialities were also confidential materials were also subjected to suppression. So we have that as that. Now we have electronic media and entertainment censorship. The government established the Nigerian News Agency, all right, Nigerian News Agency, all right, that is NAN in 1978. NAN was established in 1978, which was in charge of censoring electronic media such as radio, television, DVD. All right. Although the majority of electronic media was owned by private companies, the government was able to influence content through NAN. All right. Even though these electronic media companies were privately owned, the government was still able to coordinate and checkmate what they push out there to the public through NAN. All right. The National Film and Video Censors, all right, the National Film and Video Censors Board took over as the government official schedule agency in June 1994, replacing NAN. So in 1994, okay, in 1994, NFVCB, that is the National Film and Video Censor Board, National Film and Video Censor Board, took over from the Nigerian News Agency, the Nigerian, I beg your pardon, News Agency. So we have that as that. Okay, just like I've been told here, we have TV censorship. Despite the fact that the government regulates electronic media through the National Broadcasting Commission, all right, so the National Broadcasting Commission is the one that regulates the electronic media, all right, the likes of television, okay, which is in charge of monitoring and regulating broadcast media. There is no evidence that the government all right, that is according to our material. So National Broadcasting, all right, Commission controls, all right, controls the broadcasting media. So we have, according to the material, we have that as that. So in our next class, we'll talk about the history of NFVCB in Nigeria. So we'll take it up from there in our next class. So thank you very much, everyone. I believe you'll be able to get something to this class. Please let's do up to keep our notes up to date and send them to the appropriate portals. You have a wonderful evening and bye. for now.